All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome. Um, Tonight, I'm just gonna jump right into the next prop that is gonna go into this Peter Pan scene. And again, for all who are new, this is a gaming project. It's modeled. Everything's going to be modeled in Maya for the most part, and it's then going to go into Unreal. We're going to texture things. It's going to look great. And so let's get started. So previously I created the little side table here. You can see right next to the bed. And so might as well just move on to the bed, which is right next to it. And this is John's bed. And to the right, which you can't see over here, let's see, it's going to be right here, is Michael's bed. And then there's also Wendy's bed. All of them are slightly different, as much as I'd like to reuse some of this stuff. I may be able to reuse some of it, but for the most part, a lot of this is going to be similar. If I create like the casters here, the wheels, I could use those on different beds as well. So little things like that we can try to reuse. The planks here on the side could perhaps be reused, especially if you're going to UV map all these things. Try to think about what you can reuse and what you can't. So let's get started with this bed. I'm not gonna model the sheets and the mattress right now. I'm just gonna model the frame of the bed. So let's kind of figure this out and see what we have to work with here. So I think this is a good image here, and let's look around a little bit more. And so this one down here is great for the front portion, and then this one up here, where did it go? I think over here is good for the back, just to kind of give an idea of the scale. So you can look at the side table, and you can stack two side tables. It's going to be right about there. So then we know it's a little bit bigger than two side tables. And the same goes for looking at how tall this is going to be. So this is about a little over one side table. And since we already modeled this, we know what the scale is for that. So let's get started. I'm going to have this image here just hanging out so we can get started. And a lot of times we just kind of start out with doing one side of the model. If you're new to 3D modeling, there's a lot of working on one side and then mirroring over, because there's a lot of things that are symmetrical, and eventually if there's something that's asymmetrical, you can break symmetry. But for now, it's just going to work on this one side here. And we can adjust proportions as we go on. And I'm not worried how big it is. I do have my scene set up in centimeters. It is correctly set up with the grid, but I'm not worried about trying to get it all right now, because I'll scale it up later to fit the side table and the whole scene. So let's think about this. And you have to think about how is it created in real life? Is this going to be screwed onto this? Is this all one piece? I mean, sometimes that can be helpful, but others maybe not. But it might be helpful to model it in separate pieces. But let's just start doing it here. And yeah, I think I'm just gonna do this separate. Scale it down. And let's put it at the right spot because it looks like it's off. No, it's not. And it's not. So the table I had modeled, if you watched the last video, I had modeled the table and it got skewed a little off axis. So I always want to be careful about that. And so we'll go to edge ring and edge ring split. Okay. Try to think about, if you're new to 3D modeling, try to think about the major forms first before you start adding in tons of edge loops, because you start adding in too much detail, it bogs you down. So just big shapes. I could use a torus for this, but I think I'll just extract more edge loops. Take a look. Good. So. And actually, oops, not that. Let's go back and just clean it up. Good. And actually, let's take all of this, shrink it down. Here. And to be honest, I'm just going to get rid of that for right now. All right. It's looking good. Not too shabby. It's going to go there. But this is really just going to be bigger. So let's move the pivot all the way down there. Right. Let's keep on going. For this part, so it's kind of hard to make out what's happening here, but you look at the other side. Just because this is a painting, and you know, nothing, it's kind of meant to be not super clear, but enough to make out what, you know, what's supposed to be there. But we need to make it super clear. So it's got 1, 2, 3. This one in the center looks a little bit bigger. So, yeah. Let's kind of divide this up a little bit. I think I'm going to move this down a little bit. Right around there. New edge loop, and just gotta center it. Now these are kind of, these are kind of the same width, but you can see mine is kind of tapering up just because we were going, so we can get into the orthographic view. Just kind of try to I'm going to say this one's a little bit wider. This one is about the same. And if you want, you can just pull it down here and see how far. It's about right. This one, same thing. That one needs to come out a little bit more. I mean, you don't have to be precise, but I'm kind of a stickler with getting proportions right. Yeah, something like that. And, you know, if it was still a little skewed and you wanted to adjust it more, you could equally just grab a lattice, change the divisions, and just scale the lattice like this. And that works. And then just delete history. So, you know what? Let's save this. We're going to call this John's bed. And we're going to go scenes, props. Save it there for now. Now we can pull this back up. And then for the top part, it looks a little long, but maybe right about there. Top part, we can use a sphere. We're just going to create polygon primitives sphere. And what do we have? 20, I think it was 20 edges. So let's take a look. Yeah, so we have 20. So this will work. And you know, you could do a lower res cylinder, but anymore, we're creating gaming assets is, I mean, within reason, you're okay to create a good amount of geometry. It's just the textures and materials you have to be careful of. So when it comes to trying to define a cylinder, it's worth it just to put a little bit more geometry, and the normal map will smooth it out beyond that, but it's definitely worth it. So let's scale this. Let's go back into perspective. And where do I want to cut this off? So we can scale it down, first of all. It's quite large, but looking at the scale of this to that, I think it could go down a little bit more. And maybe scale it in Y just a tad. I think I liked it down. All right, so where are we going to cut this thing? Let's maybe right about there. So I'm going to grab the face, double click edge loop, get rid of that, and scale this down a little bit. And grab that. Oh, we don't need that anymore either. And let's just V and middle mouse to snap. Now it's a little too close because I can't see the edges and I have to merge them. So let's move it up a little bit like I did, and then grab both of them and combine. Right now we're not worried about UV maps, but we will get to them. We just want to block it out. So we're going to bridge everything. And I mean that, it's probably okay to have that in the high poly, but I'm going to get rid of this loop here. So we can just grab this and right click. So I'm just grabbing the edge for the loop that I want to get rid of. I'm going to hold Control or Command on Mac, Command, and right click, Edge Loop Utilities, and then we're going to go to Edge, Ring, and Collapse. So it just merges everything together. So yeah, this is not bad, but I think might want to round this out a little bit. So let's do that. Let's go to bevel. And let's do 2. A little bit better. And let's do the same thing. So I'm just pressing G to repeat my last action. And there we go. Yeah. So let's turn on an anti-aliasing and shadows just to give it a little bit nicer. Turn off the wireframe for a second. So yeah, it's not bad. So this is the low poly. I kind of want to put another edge loop here and just give it a little bit of tension there. So yeah, I think it could be a little too tall proportionally. If you look at this to this, it's like what, maybe 1 right about there, and this one is quite a bit longer. I mean, again, each image has a slight difference, but I'm going to follow this one, so I'm going to just reduce a little bit, and I can just pull this up. So So if I was gonna take this and bring it down, that's a sloppy way of doing it, but and I like to look at the silhouette, and you can turn on, this is kind of a little trick, turn on the lights with no lights, and you can look at the silhouette of what you're doing, and it just gives you a good reference. Maybe I might want to bring this out a little bit. And let's bring that picture back, that image. And I think I'm going to add one more edge loop there. Bring this one down. Oops. Right about there. Yeah. And what the heck? Why not give it a little bit more shape? I think it's honestly got too much shape. I was probably fine just keeping it the lower res. That's good. All right, so bring this down. Looking at how this fits on here. We can scale this up too. Let's hide unselected. Let's turn off the light so we can just get back to, I'm going to press D and then V and middle mouse up, maybe a little bit more. Let's get into orthographic, V, grab, and there we go. So when I scale, it's going to scale from that point down. And just kind of move this down a little bit. Right around there. Up. There. Yeah. All right, so down here, this is the beauty of 3D. Down here is kind of using the same things. So to really speed up things, instead of trying to recreate this whole thing, we can really just duplicate it. So we're going to Control Command D, duplicate, let's bring it off over here. I'm going to scale it in the Y. So upside down now. And I mean, it's a little bit different. So we've got kind of, it's hard to see, but let me see if another image shows better. See, look, it's just completely different here. So you just kind of choose your poison. I kind of like this, but let's take a look at the other images. It's also different, but interesting. Now this one, I kind of like this one. This one is quite a bit different, actually. You know, you've got this kind of part coming out here, and then it rounds out, and then you've got, so let's see if we can, I like this one. Let's do this. Let's see if we can reuse this to achieve that. So what do we got? We got kind of this end piece here. And we probably don't need so much geometry going in the Y, but we can clean that up later. I'm just gonna bring this way down. And I'm gonna scale it a little bit. You know, I'm gonna grab a lattice. Grab a lattice point, and grab another lattice point, and scale. How do I like that? So, might get a little bit of a hard edge. But no, I think that's good. I like that. So I'm gonna get rid of that. We don't need all this geometry here. Maybe just one is fine. And move that up a little bit. So we still have a little bit of form definition there, but no. So we've got this up to a kind of another dome. So it's like kind of a sphere to a dome. And so we kind of have that already. To be honest, I think I could just grab all this and duplicate it. So I'm just going to grab all this geometry and hold shift, right click, holding shift and right click, and we're just going to duplicate face. And there we go. Get rid of that. And center pivot, bring it down. And yeah, so. All right. Now this was fine for the bottom, perhaps. We can do more adjusting, but this one is just not working. So let's kind of clean this up, get rid of maybe every other for now. Simplify. I'm going to also hide unselected, save it, save your work all the time. And I'm also going to just go ahead and get rid of this and scale it in, bring it down, scale it in. See, we're getting that dome shape, and it's kind of a little bit more of a harder edge up here, you can see, kind of, and then it goes to this torus kind of shape, which is right around here. But it almost connects directly to that torus shape, so I might just get rid of some of these. Just get rid of that. Maybe this one as well. Something like that. And let's take a look. Scale it in. Scale it out. Scale it in. Hopefully you're getting the picture here. It's looking decent. To round out a little bit more. And perhaps scale it in more. Yeah. And I think it's just too, I might scale it just everything. Yeah. Yeah. So looking good. So we're going to show last hidden. We can connect these up. Hide unselected. Let's take a look. Yeah, so let's scale this down. Around there. And yeah, we don't need this much geometry again, so let's delete every other. We kind of want this edge, I think, here. Probably not, actually, so I'm just gonna every other. And delete vertices. Oops. And yeah. It almost looks like it kind of comes out like almost like a bell shape. And I kind of like that idea. Kind of like that a little bit almost. Let's grab another loop, round it out, and yeah, I kind of like that. And I mean, the caster is going to be on the base, so we can pretty much just flatten that out, but let's take a look here. Yeah. Where do I want to start that? I think right around there. And flat. Right. So now let's connect it up. We're going to grab both of them and bridge. We can just get rid of one of them. And delete history. So we're kind of getting this overall shape here. And oops, I lost Maya for a second. All right, so next let's work on kind of going in, almost like, again, almost like a bell shape. And we probably could just use this one, but I'm just gonna just scale it in and let's simplify. Near the base, it's hard to tell what's happening here. It might be another kind of torus shape, or it might actually be kind of a squaring happening, not so much this, but almost like a stepping, which is something different, and or it could actually be something else too, which I kind of bowing out. But I think I might, you know, I want a lot of variance in here and make it interesting, so I might go with the last thing that I just said and see where that takes us. So I'm just gonna get rid of this top part, and I'm gonna get rid of this as well. And scale this in. Just get rid of this one for now. Yeah. Scale it in. Scale it in. Yeah, it's an interesting shape, you know, but you have to imagine this is done on a lathe. And so got all these great shapes. All right, so let's bring back everything. I'm going to save. And let's take a look at everything here. Scale of this versus the scale of these. Let's kind of put it up. I'm going to center the pivot. I'm going to bring it to X on the and Y and Z. Let's just kind of hold it up next to that. I'm going to scale it up a little bit. Right. And go back here. Oh, you know what? Let's do that. Where did it go? It's around there somewhere. Oh, did I? I think I might have scaled it strange. So let's go back. There we go. And so if we look at this, and how many of these do you think this is to this is? Maybe 1.5. So let's use that. I'm just going to duplicate it. Say 1.5. Duplicate again. And 1. Right around there. Now, going back to what I suspect might be happening down here, it's really hard to tell. I'm going to freeze transformations first real quick. And I'm just going to delete history. I'm going to do the same. I'm just going to grab everything. Freeze transformations, delete history. I'm going to clean scene. So just to offer a little bit of difference, what I'm going to do is extrude this similar like we did earlier, but then the difference is that I'm going to kind of taper it in. So it's similar, but different. Will people see it? Maybe, you know? Just depends, since this is a game asset and the player can run around. There's a chance they could see this, especially since John's bed is just one of the more central places. I'm just going to fill this hole here. Oops, I'm going to grab this. Fill that hole, and then I'm going to poke that, just so I don't have any end-gons. Triangles and squares, polygons, quads are okay. N-gons, anything over 5, not a good idea. It's going to cause problems. So yeah, let's bring this back up. That's not right. It's like an orthographic view. And snap. There we go. And I'm just going to delete history. All right. Yeah. You know, and I'm going to hide the grid. It bothers me. I think it's good. I could probably just combine all this right now. I can, you know, some of these things probably need to be adjusted. But let's just move on for right now. Yeah. So I'm going to move this out. And this is going to be a little tricky. I mean, there's different ways you can do it. You can actually model this so it's actually going around, or you can kind of fake it and you can create this base here going into a cylinder, and then just create a normal map of this kind of shape here. That's something that could probably be done easily in ZBrush. I mean, it could probably be done here too, but I think I'm going to do this as a cylinder. So let's do that. Actually, I'm going to bring back the grid because now I can see how far this is. I'm going to duplicate this here. And bring it over. And scale. Get rid of this. Scale. And really I don't need this either. So I'm just going to get rid of all that and delete it. Same with this one. It was maybe easier to create a cube, but I was trying to just, by duplicating this, it's in the right place for the most part. So, and it also aligns to this. A little bit of a shortcut. Let's go to X and scale. Again, we're going to work on proportions, but I think this is good for the moment. This needs to taper in, taper in. Maybe around there. And it's too thick, so let's bring it in. Yeah, so the tricky part, this coming up here. Yeah. Let's create a cylinder. And rotate it. We have 20 scale it down, bring it up. Let's look at the side here. This is bigger than that in diameter. So scale it down. And if we want to be, well, we don't. I was going to say if we want to be exact, we can drag it over, but we don't. It's going to be a little bit shorter than, let's save the scene here. It's a little bit shorter than that board here. I'm going to go right about there, maybe. And yeah, I think that's good. Let's see what we're dealing with here. I'm going to bring it in a little bit. And let's extrude this. Bring it in. This one I am going to be exact. Let's go to wireframe. Snapping. Right. And it's a tricky form, but I think we can handle it. I'm going to add a edge loop here, and oops. Yeah, 3D modeling can kind of be like a little bit of a puzzle sometimes. I'm going to rotate that. And I'm going to bring this in. And we can readjust this later. But I am going to get rid of this face. So hide unselected. Delete that. Because we want to connect them. So show last hidden. And I want it to be smooth going up here. Let's take a look. I'm going to just grab these points, and it looks right about there is where it starts to rotate. So see if we can, no, hold on, let's go back. So up and right about there and there. Take a look, yeah. And then we want to try to keep the same thickness. So what is about the same thickness? That is the question. Maybe 3 of these triangles. So let's go up. And right about there. Right. Okay. Hide unselected. And show last hidden. I'm going to turn on wireframe here. So yeah, we're kind of getting it. Right, and then snap there. Oops. Let's go back. Snap to there. And there. Right. So we've got too many divisions here. And I'm not going to worry about the other side right now. I mean, because we can just mirror. So we've got 1, 2, 3. That's fine. And yeah, I think it's going to be okay. So I'm going to cut this, cut this. And this is kind of what I was talking about. There's a lot of just symmetry things here. And you just cut it in half, literally. Combine them. And then we'll mirror it over when we're done. So now this is kind of, I think it's going to be okay. take a look in the side view here. I'm gonna hide unselected. I'll add another division here. It's just looking a little. Start moving vertices around. And let's get rid of this, get rid of that. Start moving this. I'm really trying to get a nice flow to it. So nice arc. Maybe even bring this down a little bit. And the thickness is still not really. Let's bring this right around there. There. Close. Around there. Yeah. So hide the wireframe. This needs to be cleaned up as well. We need all the arcs, all the curves going through to be smooth. And let's bring back the reference. So it's pretty flat right here. May even need another loop. And just bring it down. See, I don't really, this is kind of going in and then bows out a little bit. So let's make it nice and flowing. And really, we want this to also kind of go into there. So all angles. Yeah. I'm going to bring this out a little bit. Not too shabby. And I think it's good. Let's delete the history. I'm going to look down. So we have, this is a tricky part, and so it's happening up at the top here too. Looks pretty much the same. Just going the same direction. So we can just, you know, you can see up here. So we can just reuse this. It's just a little bit wider maybe at the top. But yeah, you know, I like this image here. It's pulled in quite a bit. So let's do this and move the pivot point to 0 and duplicate and then scale in X. Now you could equally go to edit and duplicate special. You could do an instance, but I'm just not going to worry about that right now. Just get it plugged away. And to be clean, so let's merge these real quick. So we're going to merge vertices. Should be good. If I smooth it, it's all good. So to keep things clean, I'm going to snap that down there. And right there. All right. So yeah, that's not bad. But I was mentioning it kind of goes in more, goes in at kind of a more of a stronger arc. So let's scale this in. Let's show all. Yeah, see, because you look at the distance here, and scale this in. Yeah. So we can, just for the sake of making everything look nice and clean, I'm going to actually go back and harden edges. And yeah. It's not bad. We can always come back to that, but so we pretty much have this close to being done. Duplicate. I'm going to move this to X and just there we go. And back to reference. Not bad. And then the backboard looks pretty much the same. Let's look at all the reference. So, I mean, it's literally like the same, which makes our life a lot easier. So Michael's bed over here has slightly different geometry, which is going to be fun to kind of change it up a little bit. But we can reuse this stuff for Michael's bed. And the same with Wendy's bed too, which is going to be over here, which is also going to be a lot of fun because it's got a lot of difference in the cylinders, but all this drapery, which will go into Marvelous Designer and create these great curtains and drapery. So yeah, let's go back to the reference. Oops. And it's the best image of that bed. So again, this side table, it's like 2 side tables. If this is about 1, I should just bring in the side table. Create reference. We're going to bring in the table. That's it. But the table is going to be huge because the table has been scaled up, but that's fine. We can just scale it down. Just save. Scale it on down. And let's bring this all up. I'm gonna go back, combine, and bring this down to floor. Oops. Let's do that again. It's probably better to look in the orthographic. Right. And there we go. So let's bring this up to Y. So now let's look at the table. So this is taller than the table, which means we're going to go about there, maybe. And then just duplicate it and bring it back. And again, bring over. I'm not even going to move this. This is the correct one for the end, and we'll just, since we're already where we need to be, let's duplicate this. You got 2 of them. And it's about 2. So let's grab everything, go like this, and voila. Dear Maya, please don't crash on me. Oh God. Well, it seems like Maya is crashing, folks. Welcome to the wonderful world of 3D. Right. So hopefully we didn't lose too much here, but let's pain. Let's force quit Maya and open Maya. And then we are going to not get the table. We're going to open John's bed. And with any luck, we're going to be just fine. Cool. So yeah, I saved it right before, and thank God. I mean, it wouldn't be a big deal because I've been saving it, the whole thing periodically, but yeah, it's pretty much a pain in the ass. But what can you do? And is the back portion where it's rounding, is that any different? I don't think so. It looks about the same distance here. You know, it really looks the same. So we're just gonna keep it at that. Let's open up the reference editor and just get rid of the reference, remove it. And it's got that duplicate. We're going to delete that. And now it's backwards, so we're just going to pull it over here. And there we go. And you can't really see the planks that go. Well, here we go. It's pretty simple, it looks like. I mean, let's just create a cube. And move it along. Bring it down. How much do we want it to poke out there? About that. And there it is. Let's expand Maya just a little bit. All right. Yeah. just going to take this part and save. Okay. And then we want it to connect to this here, so we're going to snap it to that, like that. And the same here. And let's bring the reference up. It's like half of this beam here, so you can see it's about half from here to here, 50-50 kind of thing happening. So let's do that. Right about there. Right about there. And there you go. We're going to grab the pivot, put it at X, duplicate the beam. I think you're getting the gist of all this. And we're going to, you know what? Let's freeze transforms and then scale. And freeze transforms. Let's take a look at the reference. Back at the reference. Reference is not showing enough. This is pretty pronounced here. It looks quite a bit smaller. This one looks a little bit bigger up here. This one looks a little bit smaller. What do I like? This is where, you know, it's just, you got to find a happy medium. You have to use your artistic licensing to kind of fill in the gaps. I'm just going to keep it the way it is for now. And I mean, we could create a mattress, I guess. We don't really need to create the box. I mean, I don't see anybody coming over here and flipping this thing over, so I'm just not going to worry about creating like the planks going across or anything. So let's just bring this to 0 and scale it and bring it up. Something like that. And bring it on down. Something like that. And then you have a bed. Now the pillow and the blankets, I'll leave that to Marvelous Designer. I mean, you can do simulation here where you can get nice, but I like to use Marvelous Designer. So what I'll end up doing is just basically making this into one solid object. As a matter of fact, I can do that right now. And then bring this into Marvelous Designer and create the blankets and whatnot. So you can also bring in a ZBrush. I mean, you can bring in Marvelous Designer, then ZBrush, but a lot of different ways to do things. So there you have it. There is John's bed. It might need to be a little bit longer, but I actually have some reference blockouts that I can bring this to and get an idea from a scene that I made originally. But for now, I think it's okay. And I think this should do it for tonight. This is just wanted to kind of do a quick model, keep you guys going. And so, yeah, again, if you haven't already taken a look, if you're coming from Twitch and you haven't taken a look at my website, it's shaundunnart.com. You can see right here on the bottom. And at the top here, you can see we've got Instagram, ArtStation, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and also on YouTube. We just started a YouTube channel as well. So just look for Shaun Dunn 3D Artist if you want to see some pretty awesome work, and just keep up to date. Please be sure to follow, and I post different things on different social media outlets, so be sure to follow on all of them. Instagram, I tend to post a lot of images and whatnot. Twitch, I'll be doing the live streaming, and so yeah, just be sure to follow, and of course like. And thank you guys again, and hope you're having a great night or day wherever you folks are located. Hopefully this has helped some of you, and have a great night.